So the Michigan school shooting suspect has been identified. He apparently allegedly used his dad's pistol in the school shooting. But let's get right into the story. So the Michigan high school shooting suspect is an allegedly bullied 15-year-old sophomore who now faces multiple first-degree murder and terrorism charges in the deadly Monday afternoon attack. So Ethan Crumbly, 15, is charged with killing 4 students and injuring 7 others when he allegedly opened fire at Oxford High School about 40 miles north of Detroit on Tuesday. So on Wednesday, officials at the Oakland County Sheriff's Office said the teen shot a video the night before that spoke about killing students and made similar threats in a journal found in his backpack. He was awaiting arraignment late Wednesday, and his father purchased the 9mm Sig Sauer used in the shooting just 4 days earlier on Black Friday. Oakland County Sheriff Michael Bucard said. So Oakland County Prosecutor Karen McDonald said Wednesday that her office is considering charges against both parents, which makes perfect sense because the thing is, why did this kid have his dad's handgun, right? Like that's very questionable. So she said Crumbly had been charged as an adult with murder, terrorism, assault, and weapons possession charges. Crumbly had posted photos of the gun and him firing it in the lead up to the school shooting, the sheriff added. Investigators said they are still trying to determine a motive for the deadly shooting because the suspect isn't speaking to them. However, some classmates have said Crumbly was bullied, according to the Detroit Free Press. So investigators say Crumley's parents, James and Jennifer, advised their son not to speak to authorities following his arrest. Police must get permission from a juvenile's parents or guardian in order to speak with them, Under Sheriff Mike McCabe said. So police raided the family's home, which is about 2 miles from the school, and seized several long guns from the house, the Daily Mail reported. And the outlet said the teen's father works for an office software supply company, Autonomous Incorporated. Da-da-da-da. So on one, like, I guess, Instagram post, uh, the shooter apparently said, "Just got my new beauty today, Sig Sauer, 9mm. Ask any questions, I will answer." So meanwhile, investigators are doing a deep dive on Crumbly's social media accounts to try to determine a motive or see if there were any red flags. Crumbly was featured in the local Oxford Leader newspaper back in 2017 when he spoke of an elementary school group project on poverty and hunger. "I see people on the street sometimes that are homeless and hungry, and so I feel like I should take action and help them," he was quoted as saying. Authorities said late Tuesday they were made aware of social media posts saying there had been threats of a shooting at Oxford, but the sheriff said they didn't know about the rumors until after the attack. So an Instagram account bearing Crumley's name, which has since been deleted, had the phrase, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of world. See you tomorrow, Oxford," written in the biography section, according to Fox 2 Detroit. So there's a few ways to really think about this. Obviously, this is an extremely heinous act, right? Like, there's no question about that. But what it does show that people can, potentially learn from is that everyone has the capability of doing something evil, right? Because you could, potentially assume that, okay, maybe when this kid was, a few years ago, probably lived a somewhat, mentally stable life to the point where he viewed homeless people and wanted to help them, right? But sometime between then and now caused his point of view on life, point of view on other human beings to get very skewed, right? So you could probably blame social media for this. You could probably blame his parents for not raising him right, or basically like talking to him, basically being like, "Hey, is there anything going on at school? Is there something going on? What's happening? Have you been bullied? If you have been bullied, who did it? Let's deal with this," right? Not in like, oh, I'm going to shoot people, but basically like, let's have a discussion about this. Because here's the thing, for anyone who ends up stumbling upon this, who might have like, kids or family members or all that kind of stuff, right? The thing that you got to understand, and you got to make them understand, is that school is not forever. It is not life, right? You will eventually leave school. And if you are getting bullied, if you are someone who ends up like, even like if you're working in like a job, right? And like you're having to deal with people who are just like, rude to you or like hit you or whatever kind of nonsense, right? Potentially not like actually like harming you, but like that they basically make your life a living hell, right? If that's the case, understand that it's not going to last forever, and you have the ability to change your life at any given point. You could transfer to a new school, you could transfer to a new job, a new position, a new location. There are options available to you. That's something that you really got to understand. There's no reason for anyone to basically think like, you know what, my only option now is to take it out on other people. There's no reason for something like that to happen, right? So that's something to really think about in like this type of situation. This is an extremely heinous act. You could put a lot of blame on the parents as well, because why on earth is your kid having your gun that you buy, right? This would be a different situation if, like, let's say that a kid ended up, working a job, ended up paying for their own like hunting rifle because they live in an area and they want to go hunting. That is a completely different situation than a parent who ends up buying a handgun and then 2 days later their kid allegedly ends up using that handgun to kill people, right? Who potentially or did not bully him, right? Which I am pretty much going to assume that probably none of the people that he actually ended up harming or killing actually bullied him. If he did get bullied, it was probably just completely random, right? As to who he actually inflicted harm on. And feel free to give your thoughts on this. But the main thing to learn about this situation is that, like, no matter what you are dealing with in life, no matter what it is, right? You have the power to change it for the better. You can improve your life. You can improve other people's lives. There is literally no reason to harm another person just because you feel like you have been harmed or wronged in any shape or form, right? Because now this is the end for this kid, right? This is the end for a lot of the people that ended up dying from this, that have been attacked by this. There are people who are going to have PTSD from this. You have family members that are going to be completely affected by this. This is going to change people's political views. This is going to change people's point of view on life in general. This is going to change people's viewpoint on basically everything. And also, it's going to be a situation like, oh, I don't even know if I can even trust my friend now because who knows what's going on in their head. Maybe my friend is going to end up basically doing something crazy because maybe I said something wrong about them that one time behind their back or something, and they end up hearing it about it, and basically, who knows how they're going to react, right? So this has like a lot more bigger impact than a lot of the media companies basically just like pushing a lot of nonsense, right? Like this is basically like a string that is getting pulled of a pretty massive web, right? Like the effects of this situation is going to be massive, like absolutely massive. The funeral costs for everyone involved that ended up passing away is going to be horrible, right? Not to mention the like mental destruction that a lot of the parents of these kids are going to have. Because you got to think about it, right? A parent whose kid dies before them can sometimes cause one, if not both parents, to be so depressed, right, that they could end up being suicidal, right? Because like that is such like a massive mental damage to them because when you're a parent, you always basically view like, oh, I'll be the first one to pass away, not my kid. Like you never think about your kid passing away. And so for something like this to happen so suddenly without warning in a sense for like these parents is like how are they going to react, right? How are the friends of the people who ended up passing away or getting attacked going to react, right? How are they going to deal with it, right? So there's so much effect that ends up happening about this. Feel free to give your thoughts about this. But again, the main thing to learn about this is that if you are someone or if you know someone that thinks that there's like no hope in their life or something like that, like where like they basically view everything in life as like bad or like negative or that they're depressed or whatever kind of nonsense, right? Understand that you have complete control over the outcome of your life, right? You could take small steps to improving your life to the better, right? Let's say, for example, that you are getting bullied because you're fat or something, right? Well, if it truly bothers you to such a heavy degree, you could take some steps by like simply going for a walk every single week, right? Eating a slightly amount of less calories, right? Maybe instead of drinking Coke, you might drink Diet Coke, right? Just like small steps that you have complete control over that will start changing your outlook on life, right? Because here's the thing, you have no control over what another person does, right? But you do have complete control over how you react to a situation and how you deal with the situation, right? For example, I believe one of the kids that ended up passing away actually rushed at the shooter to basically try to save other people, right? Not a lot of people would be able to have the willpower and the mental fortitude and even just like caring about other people enough to do something like that, right? But they took the control. It was like, you know what? I'm probably going to die, but I'm going to risk my own life to try to save someone, right? Or to try to stop this evil deed, right? So again, everything in life you have complete control over in your life, meaning, hey, you have complete control over how you react to a situation and what you do on a day to day basis. So just keep that in mind. Like something like this should have never even happened. Apparently there was some like warnings as well that like potentially this kid was like kind of like acting up in the classroom, kind of like acting weird or something like that. So there's a lot of people that could potentially be blamed for this, but pretty much this is all on the shoulders of the shooter because this is horrendous.